Big time, big time, big time.
Hi, I'm Rob from Group RS. Behind me is a 5th generation B8 Audi S4. And what's even cooler about this car is it's not the sedan. You can see it's the Avant, it's the wagon. We absolutely don't have enough wagons on the road. Why is our road filled with SUVs when you have cool supercar slaying options like this? So in the previous generation, this car used to have a V8, but you'll see here, this car's got a very confusing badge here. It's a V6T. And that T doesn't stand for turbo. Actually, this car's supercharged. And when you start it up and drive it, the sound is absolutely incredible and makes it even more special. Behind me, you see some pretty aggressive 20-inch Concaver wheels the car's shot on, as well as some big brakes. So this car's going to be our test mule today for the Falken Azenis FK510, which is Falken's ultra-high performance tire. It's been designed with 4D nanotechnology to improve its performance in both dry and wet. And we're going to see how that goes today. Okay, we're now going to put the FK510 through a series of tests. So the first test we're going to do is a drive braking test. I'm going to bring the car up to 70 kilometers per hour and then down to a hard stop. So here we go. Oh, the acceleration on this is really quite brutal. Okay, I'm just watching the speed, come down to 70, and I'm coming up to the first car. I'm going to pump the brakes right here. Oh. That was really quite brutal, quite violent even. So the car came to an incredibly short stop here, even though we're on these back roads, which are a bit imperfect. So there are a few kind of, loose surface here. The car still comes to a stop very, very confidently. All right, so we've finished the dry performance test. We're now moving on to the wet performance test. So the first test that we're gonna start with is wet braking. So again, I'm gonna bring the car up to 70 and then to a standstill with hard braking. So here we go. Oh, I love the sound of this car. So let me make sure I'm at 70. Okay, here we are. We're coming up to the first cone here. And then coming on the brakes. Wow, that stopped incredibly short. Actually, I have to get out and see actually how much difference it was to the dry performance test. So that's actually quite a surprise. So from 70 down to 0, the pedal pressure was, very steady. The car was very undramatic actually in how it stopped in the wet, so very impressive. Okay, so the second test we're going to do now is an acceleration test. So the car stopped here. I'm going to bring it up to 30 kilometers per hour and then back down to 0 in a standstill, just to see how much distance it takes to do that, right? So okay, here we go. Okay, so wow, it's kicked in the emergency video. So you can see actually the speedo here, the digital speedo is very hard to read. The acceleration is so quick on this car, but it launches so sweetly. I mean, even with the power, it just picks up the speed, and then yeah, I'm back at 0 in no time. Okay, so now we're going to do a wet acceleration test. So similar to before, I'm going to launch it from 0 and get up to 30 kilometers an hour and then back down to 0. So here we go. Okay, so actually there wasn't a lot of difference with the dry run. So even then, even though it's wet, I guess the all-wheel drive system definitely helps on this car. The car launched very steadily, no shudder through the steering wheel, and we came to an incredibly short stop. Alright, so now we've got the last of the dry tests that we're going to do. We're going to put the car through a short slalom course, round a few cones, and see how the tire feels. So the point isn't to try to get the fastest time here, but just to see the feeling of the tire on the road. So here we go. Whoa, okay. Here a little bit of tire scrubbing, but the car through the slalom there, yeah, it felt really good, right? I think the steering here, I mean, you can really feel the car's very confident as it changes direction, and it's a real driver's tire. Okay, we're now gonna do a wet slalom run. So with it being wet, we expect it to be a little bit more demanding on the tire, so let's see how we go. All right. Okay, I can definitely feel the front end pushing this time compared to the dry run. Okay, so I think versus the dry run, as we expected, you know, we're gonna come much closer to the limit of the tire, but even then, the breakaway is very progressive. The front end pushes a little bit, but still it breaks away very progressively, and it's still true driver's tire. So today we've had the chance to put the Falken Azenis FK510 through its paces in some dry and wet performance tests. As an ultra high performance tire, we expected the performance of the tire to be great, and it absolutely delivered in braking, acceleration, and the slalom run. I think what impressed me the most actually was the wet performance, where it stopped almost as quick as in the dry, and in the slalom, the car was very sturdy and inspired confidence for me as a driver. In Singapore, where we can be caught out in the downpour at any time, I think it's extremely important that we don't choose a tire that sacrifices wet performance and the ability to shed water like these FK510s. If you're in the market for a tire that's sporty, for a spirited drive, please consider the FK510 and put it on your shopping list.